How is this? Okay. So yeah, I work as a projection designer by profession. So I do visuals for live events um, and theater productions and also VJ and audiovisual performance. Um, I was in bands when I was young as a drummer and the bassist, like playing rock bands. And later on, after I started working, I came up with a Joee I, which is like a collaborative project where I write the songs but I work with different artists and musicians to with my music as well as the live shows especially. So most of the performances are, I believe, heavily influenced by my production background. So I've also been part of WSK, which is a festival of digital arts and new media, as well as HERESY, which is a platform for women in sound and multimedia. And currently I'm teaching in the Salle-College of St. Benilde in the production design program. So in projection design, I've worked with visuals on a professional setting as well as personal. So a lot of works were also made with the help of the community who are interested in these types of arts. So yeah, to show you some of my So yeah, that's a preview of some of the works that I've done. Yeah, so how did I start actually? So in 2017 to 2013, I was so I took up production design in college, and from there I started working in the production design department, and this is one of my first films that I worked on in the costume department. Yeah, and this is a Filipino and American production. Yeah, so when I started, I really learned a lot from working in this type of setting where it's a big but as independent production, and I was part of a big crew. So it it connected me to a lot of people in the production. So that's the film Amigo, which is a film set at the turn of the century in the Philippines, when the Americans came to the Philippines. I also did production management, particularly for this film. It's an independent film where I was line producer. So my task was to hire people to work on the films, and of course, most of the people I work with are those are my friends, those I've worked with before. Yeah, so there's that aspect as well when I was starting. I've also done projection design, which I'll show you in a bit, mostly for theater and film. And I was also part of a band, a duo. We did electronic music. One was with my sister, and another one is an improv band. And then from there, I started coming up with this idea to I was working in the industry, and I kind of needed an outlet to present my personal work. Though I did enjoy working with different people, I felt like I needed to be able to have my own space to share creative ideas without all the rules and the system that I'm working on. So back then, I felt like it was two different worlds in a way, to work behind the scenes in production and have my own project. So what I would do actually is to do all of these productions um, and make money from it. And then I will produce my own shows. So I can have, uh, as much freedom as I can. It's a hard process, to be honest, because there's a lot to do, especially with working in that kind of setting, um, with especially in theater or production, and then move to being creative, like having that creative freedom, where I can, explore, um, especially with other people who are in the creative field. So it took a while to find um, that middle ground where I can explore both. So I'll go through some of the things that I did and how it kind of developed, I guess. Yeah. So Joee I, um, the idea is it's kind of a joke. So when someone introduces the artist presenting, Joey and I. So the person who's introducing it would be somehow included in that introduction, if you know what I mean. So when someone says, "Oh, I'm going to watch a performance by Joey and the idea is like whoever that person is talking to would be confused with that phrase, like, "Are you performing?" You know, as well. So yeah, that's kind of the joke. So yeah, but the idea is to initially when it started is to be open to share, um to be open to share music and performance with different people. So I started in 2013 as myself in a gig synthesize, and then I did a tour with a End, which is a visual collective. Hold on. So this is in KL. I'll show you. So this is kind of it's embarrassing now, but it's kind of my first few gigs. I say why uh, I did kind of just went there, the place where I can play with different people and met other people through the process. So for this tour, I was with Jean Kogan, who's a programmer, and 𝒂𝓁, the co-creator of WSQ. So the first few shows, you know, already had visuals with a few collaborators working with the music as I play live. Um, there, I'll just scrub through it. So some of the visuals here were made by Jean, and yeah, I started doing electronic music at that time. So my first tracks were inspired by and mostly taking samples oops, mostly taking samples and footage from the environment that I've been to and then making it into a song. So that's how I would write some songs, and also the beginning of the visuals that come with the song. They're all inspired by places, because we make new memories. Not only do we make new memories in places, but we also get inspired by the environment that we are in. So that's kind of how I wrote some of the songs, or most of the songs. So it starts from there. So it was important to be able to go out there and share the music and perform. So this is in 2015. I went to Canada. Um, so I performed in a one-man band festival. So I also went there on my own. I had some family to visit. And I had a couple of friends who were already living in Toronto and they connected me to the Filipino community. So they had a gig um, in a church, and they included me in the lineup just to start. So Grace Nono, who's a well-known singer and an artist in the Philippines. She was performing in Toronto, and my friends were hosting. They're called Pantayo. They're a Kulintang ensemble, which is an ensemble of gongs that are found in the Philippines. Um, they're also an all-women ensemble. So yeah, I just went there and then found some shows to play. Um, so this was pretty much a dream when we played inside the church. That's Kat and Katre. So yeah, that experience was really uh, trippy in a way, like a dream come true, because in the Philippines, there's a lot of churches. We're largely a Catholic country, and we can't really do these types of performances here. So being able to do that in another country where the Filipino community was really surreal in a way. And so you will notice some of these songs were like the first versions. You'll see throughout my presentation how they've changed. So when I write something, it starts with a seed, like the song is already laid out, and each performance kind of builds the song. Um, for me, it's never final. The song is never final. So yeah, it took a while to kind of make up the final version, but it would always have to be performed. Once it's written, it's gonna be performed, and then with different people as well, and that would inspire the elements of the song. So here, we didn't really plan this, we didn't really talk about this, but yeah, it just happened, and they played the song with me, which was perfect because the song also had elements of the Kulintang. And meanwhile, there's also the start of the audiovisual performances. This one is in Saigon for 𝒂𝓉𝓾, which is also a project that was organized by VJs and audiovisual artists. Yeah, so that was the start of like having an audiovisual performance, like with music and projections. And then I started working as technical director for WSK Festival. So the festival has been running for about 10 years now. But at the moment, it's we've decided to not actively organize anymore. So we're in the process of archiving. So yeah, I joined the festival as technical director, and at the beginning, just helping out, because in a community in Manila, at least, it's a very niche group. So when I was working in production in all these visuals, I saw what WSK was doing, and I thought that was a good middle ground to kind of learn from and to work with, to have technology and visuals as an artistic practice and as well as a community practice. Yeah. So yeah, in the process, I was also doing collaborations with, one is with 𝒂𝓈𝓾𝐻𝐼𝒩𝒂𝓶, who's a performance artist, just doing the sound, and also part of group collaborations. This one is with 𝒂𝓇𝓉𝒾𝓈𝓉, who's a spoken word artist. And then yeah, I launched a music video which is directed by 𝒠𝒿, who's a director. We shot this in VHS.
Tapos na ang lahat, wala na tayong masasabi. Kasama niya ang pear at sinubo niya ang banh-mi. Sinubo niya ang banh-mi. Sinubo niya ang banh-mi. Sinubo niya ang banh-mi. Sinubo niya ang banh-mi.
So yeah, that video is on YouTube. That's my sister. The other video, yeah. Sister. She's part of the song as well, and she's the one who has the knife. And yeah, I recorded her as well, and Jonathan the sax is also in the track. So this is my first time to work with a director to work on a music video. And what I did here is the editing. So I did the editing of this music video. I learned a lot, and I met so many people. And this was also the beginning of my collaboration with Jolena, particularly Giona Zuleta. Timmy introduced me to Jolena, who designed this music video. Yeah, so this song, funny enough, you understand the lyrics. It's like stars are falling and the world is exploding. Truly, like this song is actually I wrote it in the middle of working on a movie. So I was doing post-production management for a feature film, and yeah, I all the stress that happens in a production. So I wrote that with that kind of environment actually, and then it became like this song, and it was almost cathartic to be able to release it in this manner, like all the frustrations from production work. So yeah, my dog is there, and so for this video, I met Jolena, who is Giona Zuleta and Catalina Africa. They're both really amazing visual artists. And I saw their process, and I admire their work a lot. And I've since that day I've started working with Giona. So when I released that music video, it also had the release of a live show. So we came up with like an installation, live music performance for the first edition of Fringe Manila. Uh, so yeah, that's the launch of the song, just the single. And then we came up with a show with the same title, and Giona did the set here, and we also launched a video in this space for Fringe Manila, which is a platform, a festival in the Philippines. It's an international festival, and they organize different shows to be in a whole festival together. So they're all independent shows, and then they organize them in a calendar. So yeah, the nature of the song is pretty chaotic, and so the whole idea was to kind of have that kind of show. And so for the band, half of it is improvised and half are kind of rehearsed, but really most of the time we just do it on the spot. So that's kind of how we've been doing the shows. Yeah, and prior to launching an album, we tested the concept in a preview show. So this is in a fabrication office, fabrication lab, and we did it in the basement. So Giona also did the set for this. She's inspired the process as well. So most of her sets, of course, it's all like she would come in and have all of the elements of the set. She would bring it to the venue and then, put up the set right there. So that's kind of how we've been also working together. Kind of planned, but on the spot. So yeah, for this show, I had the same band almost, and so I had Tony Bernardo on the drums, who leads a bateria samba group, and yeah, several collaborators. There's also Multiverse, who's a collective. They do visuals, and they did the visuals for the show. And there's also Alvin Lopez, who did some of the performance as I did the songs. Okay, we'll go through. I also did the theater production, but I'll go through that later. And then in 2016, we launched HERESY in the middle of I think this is the 4th or 5th year of WASAC. So then, oh, yeah. So HERESY was I started HERESY with Francesca Casaway, who was co-producer at WASAC. And then, at that time, we were thinking come up with our own platform to have a safe space for women where they can express, their ideas and experiments in sound, multimedia, different types of platforms. So when we launched it, we invited Teresa Barroso, who's a composer and a sound artist, to work on the sound. Yeah, we met up with her and talked about what we can do. We didn't have a plan at the beginning, but Teresa also had a theater background, so we kind of came up with a show that's mostly audiovisual with dance, very DIY, I guess, like small space, minimal budget, but the whole concept was our work. So there's this is also on YouTube. So there's the idea of putting live performance with projections, lights, experimental music, yeah, and kind of just bring it together into this performance. For this show, for the projections here, it's very simple. There's just two projectors on the side, left and right, and then it was mostly playing with the silhouette or the shadow that's created by the dancer as part of the projections as well. Rafaela also did the set pieces and the mirrors here. Yeah, so it was really fun to be able to to work on a project in a safe place. And when we were starting, it was really like, oh, you feel that way too. We were sharing some of our frustrations as, I guess, like women in that field, where I think most of us found ourselves, like too shy to kind of express our thoughts because, it's changing now, but at the beginning, it was a bit intimidating to join that kind of circle with mostly male and their gear. So it was the idea is to be able to freely express and come up with our own ideas and in a safe place. So yeah, that's Heresy. And then in the same year, I launched the album um, in a theater. Um, so it's also part of Fringe Manila. So Fringe Manila, they organized shows in the big black box, and then yeah, came up with a show for that. So for the album, I wanted to release it in a kind of theater performance with all the multimedia elements. So I'll show you this trailer.
Kinakabahan ako. Kinakabahan, kinakabahan, kinakabahan ako.
So yeah, that's the show, and there were a lot of people involved. So it's really kind of like a theater production. So I had Trav Velasco to direct the show, and we had a technical team led by Otto, and Giona did the production design. So it was interesting to see how her process, like the way she would design a set um, paired with in a theater setting, and paired with a technical director. I also had a Shelly to do the lighting design, and Salad Day to do the costumes. And there's Multiverse again to do the projections. Francesca, who's also part of HERESY and is a curator right now, who helped me produce this. She also wrote the story. And then there's Paris Sining, which is also an artist-led production. So they did the production management. And I also had my students. They're all production design students. So the concept of the show is that every song would have a set change, and the set change is performed by the set designers. So they're all wearing costumes at that time, performing at the same time, changing the set as we change the song. There's also Alvin, who's part of Legato, and then there's Wilderness, and then Tony, and that's my band. My sister was there as well, and then it was also my first time to work with a marching band. So the marching band is a common kind of thing in the area where I was living at that time. It's called Poblacion. So the marching band, there's so many marching bands in that area, and I just asked around where I was living if there's a marching band I can work with, and fortunately they agreed to work with me, and they're kids who are part of the marching band. It's really cute. So yeah, that's the whole crew. It was really uh, a learning experience, very stressful as well. Being kind of the producer and the performer. So yeah, it's really a different thing to manage. I'll talk more about that later, but definitely learned a lot. And this whole show, like I mentioned, rehearsals were very minimal, but the planning was there. There's a lot of planning, the concept. Um, for me, being able to work closely with people that I connect with um, really well, like just on a different level. That's kind of how uh, I find collaborators. So we connect um, on a different level, and so the show, when the show happens, it's just going to happen, kind of. So yeah, there's that element of trust first, and then yeah, we just go with it. Um, yeah, I want to share this excerpt um, from that show. So I haven't released music yet. I'm also editing the whole thing. Unfortunately, there's no audio recording of the thing. So yeah, that's another thing. Producing your own shows, you kind of have to take care of all the elements, especially if it's a more ambitious production. So yeah, I'm still working on the edit for this. Anyway, but what I want to say for the show is that everyone's in a circle, and everybody working in the production, we're all kind of looking at each other. There's a story, an outline of what's going to happen. But again, there's half of it is, you know, improvisation involved. um, uh, show. So yeah, the idea is to be all in that circle, and where the audience is also surrounding the show, and yeah, everyone's kind of looking at each other. Um, so yeah, that's the launch of the album. Um, and with that, yeah, I also published a book. It's written by Francesca Kasaway. She did the story, so she's a writer, and she did the story um, that went along with the album. It's only 5 songs, but the idea was to the end of the world was, the idea of searching for oneself. So there's different places that the character would go to kind of find the answer, to kind of find um, that place, kind of searching for herself without knowing it, something like that. And then in the end, um, she finds that answer within herself. So yeah, so the idea was to mount this show. So we had it tested the year before, and then to kind of whoever can host it, you can kind of tour it around. Yeah, so there were a few shows that happened. The thing is, this show, since it was also self-produced, it was to be frank, pretty expensive to mount it. So for that kind of approach, I think the possibility is to have kind of funding for it. So there's ups and downs to, there's like pros and cons, I mean, to producing your own shows, right? So yeah, for this one, it was amazing. But personally also, the cost was kind of made it kind of hard to reproduce. So that show, that's it. That one show, that's a one-time thing. Yeah, and then we brought it to a club for Elephant. Elephant is a twice a week, I think, or almost weekly event in the club for mostly for queer, LGBT, and so they feature artists every month, and they asked me to mount that show there. So this poster was made by Giona as well. Yeah, so we kind of made our own version in the space. So this time it's in a club setting, featuring the same songs. Yeah, you will. So there's the Gonzales, the Gonzales, then Fiona did the set. And Vision, the same song. With yeah, with the sublingual submachine doing the visuals, and the age last age AG did the a performance. So for this step, there are three saxophone players. Two of them is a duo. Two of them is a duo. And then I had Jonathan Lee. So yeah, that's another version of this song. Doesn't end. So yeah. So again, DIY tour. Went to Osaka and Kyoto. How did I do that? I had friends who were having a proper residency there, Filipino friends. And I was like, I'll go. Can you help me out and find a show? So found a show in Kyoto and Osaka. So here, when I went to the venue, there were artists doing visual. Talked to them for the show and asked them if they can, like introduce myself and meet, have visuals. So yeah, this is what happened. It's very low res. Yeah. Also on my so they're all mostly analog visuals, and then have Monchi to do contact what do you call this, contact juggling as I perform. Yeah. So again, I met him before, and for my performance, he did contact juggling. And then in KL as well, um, yeah, I went there and performed. This one is with Leila Adu, so it's an improvisation piece. So yeah, I just want to share this photo was taken in an old studio in KL. It's an old photo studio, and they had the classic background. Yeah. So yeah, some of the visuals that I have for my tour are inspired by what will happen there, or what I can come up with in that place. And then another tour with Giona in Taipei. She had a show there, and I performed. These are her paintings behind me. We also launched a music video with her in Taipei. So she directed this music video, and the process for this, that's her hand painting on my face. So the process for this is, we kind of had a plan in mind, and then yeah, we shot the music
and the living that seek
in our
so
neighborhood,
warning.
and it's inspired by the Philippines. We have parada, parade, um, parade with like or something.
It's a
And
house full
we kind of did
of
that
ghosts
concept, just having a truck going around the
and a fake
neighborhood.
plastic
most of the visuals are planned and improvised by Joee, and it's shot by a visual artist as well. So for this video, I did the editing. Yeah. So yeah, we were there together. What is this? Can't play it. Wait. Yeah. So I went to Hanoi as well. And yeah, Instant 42. Yeah, Eugene. Yeah, she was. I saw her talk also like on YouTube. Thanks for sending me. So I met her there, in Changhua, where in her space, where she did a community festival, and thankfully she hosted me, and I performed in her opening in her gallery, and she also joined me at some point in the set. So yeah, and so there's the kind of tour around Southeast Asia, which I really wanted to explore first. But before wanting to do that, I really wanted to go around my own country and um, meet 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 people, other artists in different areas. Because Manila, the Philippines is very Manila centered, I have to say. So um, there are a couple of artists who go around and tour the Philippines. But yeah, the idea was to go around in these different areas. So we're an archipelago, right? So it's not that easy to kind of travel by land. It's possible, but we're an archipelago, so we're separated by water most. So yeah, that tour took like 3 months. Kind of go around, and the idea was to meet artists, whatever genre it is, to be in the same lineup, and kind of just hear what the kind of music that they're making, original music. Yeah, so we played in big and small venues, sometimes in a cafe, sometimes in this big karaoke place. So it's all, yeah, all of these different places and meeting all of different people. It was definitely like personally a dream to be able to do that. And again, it was DIY. We didn't really have a sponsor to bring us around, so it was again balancing, um, producing a show wherever, and kind of finding our own funds for it. So yeah, we were able to go around and shoot some things around the tour and meet people. And one of the products, or one of the things that came out of that tour is a music video, um, which we launched in Elephant again the following year. And for that set, I was fortunate enough to have 𝒂𝓁𝒂𝐻𝐼𝒩𝒂𝐼𝒩𝒂𝐼𝑅𝐸 to DJ and Mikhail, and also to perform with me is Amy from Japan, and Ali. So I had an all women lineup at that time, which was great, because this song in particular was also, the lyrics were written by my friend. She's Viv Lee from Beijing. So the process was, she posted this poetry, something she wrote. She is a fish, and I asked her to, like, can I make it to a song? It's so beautiful. So yeah, and then it became this. So from her words, it became a song, and then it became a video, then it became a show. And later on, I found out, the meaning of the song is about kind of taking a friend out of take a friend to a safe place and put her between your ribs and take care of her. So it was, yeah, it's about that safe place again, being in that place of care. So I found it really fitting that it was performed live with an all women musicians. Yeah, and again, we didn't rehearse, and I wasn't able to record it, but it was beautiful at that moment for sure. Yeah, and then
Joey, sorry to interrupt, but we're running out of time a little bit.
Yeah.
In a few minutes, yeah, we can start the
Yeah, it's until 9, right? Okay. Yeah, I'll be quick. So yeah, the music video, it became a music video. This was shot during the tour. Yeah, it's also on YouTube. And then the song would transform into a full marching band. Kidnap, I showed you earlier, it transformed into a full marching band for the opening of Viva XCon, which is um, a conference and an art festival that's focused on the Visayas area, which is a big region in the Philippines in the south. So this is yeah, with the full marching band from Rojas. Yeah, and then yeah, these are all I started working on film scoring. Very quickly lang, quick film scoring for Medusa.
Scene 13, take one.
She's about a filmmaker, a mother and a filmmaker. Her, yeah, it was my first time to score a film, and I found it really fitting because it's about women who are also trying to make to balance their work and their personal life. And then yeah, I also worked with I was part of a sonic wilderness. Again, which is led by AGF. So the idea is so it's mostly women gathering, and you would go to a place, any place, mostly in the field or mostly in the field or any environment, mostly nature. And yeah, we would record Anything that comes up as we are in that space. So this project really kind of influenced me a lot, and I also looked up to AGF before I met her. Her work also inspired HERESY, so it kind of, it was really surreal to meet one of your heroes. So yeah, that's a really cool and memorable experience for me, to be able to gather and come up with something. And lastly, sorry, I know we're running. This hasn't been released yet, but I will share. This is another rendition of Kidnap for the WSA Festival. So, no idea. So, yeah, we did this performance in the park outdoor with a marching band as well. So the idea is to bring everybody wearing costumes and making sound and noise in a specific place, and kind of bring the audience to specific spots. Yeah, just sharing. Yeah, how do I get up? Okay. Yeah, so yeah, there's that version. And then what am I doing now? I'm trying to find that balance in performance. So my last performance is I was supposed to go to Australia for this. So instead, we came up with an audiovisual performance. So called Typhoon 1111. So it's, the idea is to have kind of mesh sounds that I collected during a typhoon the year before. This was during the pandemic. So there was a big typhoon. So I took videos of that typhoon. And then after a year, which is also like the festival didn't happen, right? And then after a year, did it online. And so from that footage, I came up with a performance in the same space that's kind of inspired by the same visuals and the same song. And the idea is, how do you listen to yourself? How do you calm yourself down when there's a typhoon outside, when there's a lot of things like chaos happening outside? So that was the expression here. I was also wearing laundry from Myanmar. And remember what was going on at that time. So it's really a collage and a mixture of everything. So yeah, let's wrap it up. And then the last few things that I've worked on is a film score. Sorry. a film score for the Silent Film Festival. And then also at the moment I'm exploring movement. I'm not a dancer, that's the thing. But I've started working with movement practitioners, 𝒂𝓗𝓉𝒾𝓈𝓉, and she directed this yeah, so she directed that music video. It's a dance video, and the message is about um, preserving nature and work with several artists as well. So yeah, there's still a lot of slides here, but I will just some of my theater works I've worked on. So as those things that I've shown
I joined because
yeah. So as those things I've shown you, as I've worked on those things, there's also you know, theater works that I've done using visuals. So they're all they're all related, but somehow the it's like a different world in a way, when you're yeah, the setting and the limitations are different. Yeah, so to wrap up, yeah, time to wrap up. So it's 9:25. Okay,
I think you can
so
go
yeah,
through the
so
production design process and more with the workshop if we have time in the workshop, because it's with the projection, so you can talk more about that. It's a pity
yeah,
to have to skip them. They look really nice.
thank you. Yeah, yeah, we can go through that later. So yeah, um, so yeah, it's so yeah, I guess it's like being an artist or a producer. It's you know, as I went through all of these things, it's I guess it's still in the process, and it's about exploring the practice as well, and finding the balance of being an artist, being the person who's in front and performing, you know, versus being behind the scenes. So being an artist, it's kind of, you know, how do you place yourself there? Um, just being there as a performer without having to think of all the elements like behind you, like behind the scenes. So that's kind of what I try to look at and try to find the balance when I'm doing my work, and also the idea of audio and visual. So it's really a collage of all the all the elements of the senses, to kind of come up with a story or a message or a mood, um, um, and to kind of bring those who experience the music and the show in the same place, but at the same time that they are also in that actual space and having experienced new things in a performance. So yeah, so far that's where what so far that's what I'm doing. That's where I am. So yeah, yeah. Thank you.
You.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for for listening.
Thank you so much
and for
yeah,
uh,
very inspiring talk.
Yeah, yeah. It was really interesting and inspiring, like how you started and now where you are right now.
So, I'm gonna stop the live on Facebook, and then we can start the Q&A because most of all of the people here are actually women artists who work in the fields of audiovisual and who are participating in the Machinist Imaginaire program as artists as well. We are hosting like a exhibition around May and June, and yeah, these are the artists, so we can like chit chat. Yeah, maybe
right.
like, you guys can open your camera. There were previously 10 participants, but I think like it's a little bit over time, so they might have something to do, so they left.